Hey everyone, it's Cory McCarthy, and welcome to another live Q&A session. I'm going to wait for the viewers to begin jumping in, but right now I'm going to get the page set up so I can see the actual questions when they come in and turn off the noise that I have to, because always the ad begins to play. So anyway, I got the viewers beginning to come in. I apologize. I meant to do a Q&A last week, but unfortunately I'm still kind of recovering from it. I came down with a pretty bad cold that knocked me out about half the week, and I've only been recovering from it, so I was in no shape really to do a Q&A last week. So, but I can do one this week, so let's jump into it. Post your questions in the live chat as usual, and of course I will get to them. Let the numbers begin to roll in a little bit. I kind of, I think I put the advertisement up for the Q&A a little bit too late. I usually put it up about a half hour early. I put it up about 15 minutes, 10 minutes early this time. Earlier than I usually do. So a lot of people might not be aware the Q&A is even beginning right now. So yeah. Got a question. What's up, Cory? I got some questions regarding anabolics for you, so you have knowledge in these subjects. Not a lot of knowledge. I mean, I know about steroids just from what I've read, but I've never actually used them, so I can't give you any advice in that realm. And I certainly don't promote their use, so I'm not really probably the best person to ask about that. Where I have knowledge in anabolics really lies in the side effects, because it's one of the reasons that's deterred me from using them, is because the side effects, just the negatives don't, they outweigh the benefits you could get from taking anabolics. So and I don't need them for a career or anything like that. So I'm really the best person to ask those questions. Next question. Hey, Cory, a Facebook PT, I guess personal trainer, said to me, ... Finish your sentence. Hi, what are good calorie-dense vegan foods for bulking? Right off, I would say peanut butter is great. I like to use tofu. It's got some decent fat in it. It's low in carbs, so it's pretty flexible depending on what your carb intake is, even when you're bulking, that is, because you might want to allot those carbs to something else, like maybe you want to have pasta, or maybe you want to have fruit. I love putting fruit into my diet, so that's usually one of my favorite carb sources, is coming from fruit, berries and whatnot. Usually berries and bananas, that kind of thing. I tend to go with high glycemic fruits too, things like pineapples, figs, apricots, that kind of stuff. But yeah, those are some good examples. Other ones like avocados are good examples. As a good example, coconut can even work as a, basically look for anything that's high in calories. Try to stay away from processed crap if you can, because you're not going to get all those nutrients that naturally come with the food and processed foods. A lot of times they have to be added manually, or they're just void of a lot of peripheral nutrients like vitamins and minerals altogether. It's just like protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And stick with, like, you know, natural foods that are really dense in calories. That's my best advice on that. But make it fit your macros, obviously. Don't just go wild and eat everything you see it's vegan. That's how you get fat. Let me continue back up to the questions here. Is rice safe to eat every day? Sure, I don't see why it wouldn't. You know, I hear there's some places that have a higher arsenic content in the rice than others. So you might want to look into that. I don't know much about that topic myself, but I've recently heard from someone that rice in certain areas tends to have more arsenic content than other areas, depending on where it's grown. And that's like here in the US at least. So maybe look into that, but I don't see any reason why it would be unsafe for you to eat rice every day. It's a great source of carbohydrates. It fills you up. You know, it's you know, got some protein, not a hell of a lot, but some protein in it. You know, there you go. Hey, Cory, what are your thoughts on acupuncture? Look, I don't know much about acupuncture, and I don't want to like jump and say that it doesn't have any conclusive benefits, because if there are studies out there that show that it does, you know, that would make me wrong. But you know, I have never really had interest in looking into it. A lot of these alternative medicines and whatnot, I don't really look into. Whenever I've had pain or an injury or something, I just go to a physical therapist and have it checked out and dealt with. And I don't mean like an Eastern therapist, like an actual Western trained PhD in sports medicine. So, pasta for the win. Yeah, pasta is really, really good. I mean, if you don't have a problem with gluten intolerance, like some people, they just end on the toilet for hours after eating gluten. If you don't have a problem with that, then yeah, you know, rice would be an alternative if you have a problem with gluten. But pasta is a great food for carbohydrates. Yeah. Let's see. What would you please respond to Jason Blaha? He's been shitting all over vegans lately. I'd have to catch up and see what he's talking about, like what you're talking about. I don't really watch a lot of Blaha. And a lot of times the things that I have, I don't know, I find him annoying for one, and two, I don't really agree with a lot of the things he says. And, you know, I don't know. I find him annoying is really the big thing, but I'll have to see what he's saying. I mean, maybe you can give me some like a little heads up. What exactly is he attacking vegans for? Because there was a time where he seemed like he was at least on the side of vegans, or, you know, even when he wasn't a vegan, he seemed like he didn't have any issues with vegans, and even defended soy for a period of time. But this is probably about a year or two ago, maybe longer than that. I don't know. So yeah, but I'll look into it. Said that a vegan diet cannot match Omni. There is absolute. Okay, this is the continuation of someone's question. Somebody apparently said a Facebook personal trainer told them that a vegan diet cannot match an Omni diet. There is no evidence to support that. In fact, in my latest video with the golden one, I pointed out that there's no research to show that there is any performance benefit from eating meat or eating less meat or going totally vegan. There's no performance benefit. You know, vegans aren't at a disadvantage, in other words. So the more animal products you put in your diet is not going to benefit your performance. That's what research shows. So I don't know who a lot of personal trainers, they spout this crap that makes me just cringe or shoot up an eyelid, you know, an eyebrow. It's just it's a lot of nonsense out there. And PTs, think about it. Like, what does a PT have? They have a certification, yeah, and there are some great personal trainers out there. But there's also a fuckload of personal trainers that have like a 2-week certificate or whatever it took them to get their certificate, and they're just horrible. There's a lot of horrible personal trainers out there. So when somebody says they're a PT, I don't instantly say, oh, you must be knowledgeable, because it's not the case. You know, that's an appeal to authority anyway. Hi, Cory. What are your thoughts on Dr. Joel Fuhrman's nutritarian diet? I don't know much about it. I have to look into it. Honestly, I don't know enough to say anything about that. I've heard of it before. Don't know enough to really say anything. What's a good way to fix bags under your eyes when getting 8+ hours of sleep isn't enough? Are you really, you're getting enough? What's the quality of your sleep? If your sleep quality is poor, but you're still getting 8 hours, let's say you're laying in bed for 8 hours and you think you're sleeping the full 8 hours, but you have restless sleep, or it's not deep sleep, you know, you're not hitting REM state, or you're getting up to go to the bathroom 4 or 5 times a night, which I've had the problem with in the past if I drink a lot of fluids, or if I'm under times of stress. I don't sleep very deeply, and I end up suffering for it for days. And if that's the case, you know, I would look into the quality of your sleep first. It could also be a nutrition thing. You know, maybe you're not getting enough of a certain nutrient. You should get some blood work done. Those are 2 options I can tell you. I'm not a doctor, but these are just some things I would think to do myself. These are the things I would explore first. Okay, so this person's continuing. So this apparently this online personal trader quoted that vitamin B12, omega-3, heme iron, off the top of his head, are all things that you can't get eating a vegan, but you have to supplement for. Heme iron you can't get as a vegan, with one exception. I believe that new Impossible Burger that they're releasing has heme iron in it, but it's actually heme iron extracted from plants. Now, there is heme in plants, but it's so insignificant. But what they've done is they've actually extracted it and put it into this Impossible Burger in larger quantity, for better or for worse. Because let me remind you, if you look at my third VARG video, I discussed that we have it's actually a causation at this point. There appears to be a direct relationship between the consumption of heme iron and colorectal cancer, ass cancer, basically, as I always call it, ass cancer. There is a direct relationship to it. And and animal products are the prime source of obtaining heme iron. So that, I wouldn't want to eat heme iron. I'm going to get non-heme iron. I get plenty of it from, things like spinach, etc. Tofu has plenty of non-heme iron. And the absorption rate, while they can be drastically different, they can also be very minimal. It depends on your body, really, and your ability to absorb it. And there are things you can do to enhance the absorption of your iron as well. Certain vitamins you can take that will enhance the absorption of the iron. So, as long as you're eating a balanced diet, you're getting all the vitamins you need, and you're ensuring that you are. And if you're on a somewhat restricted diet, you're using a multivitamin, for instance. I mean, if you're in a contest prep, for instance, you are very restricted, or you're on a keto diet, yeah, take some multivitamins and multiminerals to help you maintain health. Because those diets, those can be very restrictive in your health needs, but you've got to maintain that with supplementation. But that's true for anybody, even if you're an omnivore and you're on keto, or you're, cutting really deep and you're limiting your intake of certain foods. You might be deficient potentially in certain areas, like especially if you're cutting out fruits. You might not be getting enough vitamins that really are in higher quantity in fruits. So that's my thoughts on that. Now, B12, yeah, we have to supplement with B12. And omega-3s, you can consume flax and chia. You're going to get the ALA form. The body can convert it. It is not an efficient process to convert the ALA to EPA and DHA, but your body will get better at it, as research has shown, especially generationally. In other words, if you are a vegan and your children are a vegan and their children are a vegan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, generationally, and they've seen this in people from India, for instance, their bodies get better at converting the ALA to EPA DHA. So it's not the same. And then conversely, when you take someone from India, for instance, has been vegan for generations, and they start eating a Western diet inclusive of animal products, they get very sick. That's also been noted in research. So I don't worry so much about that. And if you want to get the EPA DHA, you don't need a hell of a lot of it. You can take a very small amount of like an algae supplement, and that'll take care of it. And it's cleaner than fish oil, by the way. It doesn't have the same pollutants, and they've tested. This has been tested. So it doesn't have the same pollutants that you find in fish oil. And then as for B12, yeah, we got to supplement B12. But keep in mind that animals, the meat, the muscle tissue of animals don't contain B12. It's produced in the intestines. And there was a doctor that has noted that when you find B12 naturally occurring in food products, like in animal products, for instance, it's not because it naturally occurs in the muscle tissue. It's because there's contamination, perhaps during the slaughter process. This is something to consider. The prime ways to get B12 that our ancestors likely got it was from, eating unclean vegetables, and that sort of thing, dirt, soil, drinking unclean water, things that we don't do in industrialized society, where we have cleaning methods that keep our water clean. So this is why we need to be diligent in getting B12 some way, by fortification, and animals on farms are fortified, by the way, or by taking a supplement. So that B12 argument's retarded. It really is. And if you're supplementing B12 and you're getting the other nutrients that you need, and you're having a balanced diet, there's no evidence that a vegan can't perform just as well, if not even better, genetics allowing, than somebody who consumes animal products. Anyway, that was a long-winded answer, but that's what I take on that. Do you know any vegan-friendly products regarding snacks, chocolate, etc., something for cheat days at least? On cheat days, if you really want to go healthful about it, you can eat fruit. You can eat a lot of fruit. That'll fill you the hell up, and you're going to get a lot of nutrients from the fruit, like the vitamins and the minerals that are in fruit, and it's sweet. You can make fruit smoothies for yourself. Treat yourself sometimes. If you want some cake, have some cake. I mean, it's not gonna, don't make a habit of it. Don't do it every day, but have some cake. Something that I like sometimes if I want a little something that's kind of a healthful snack that's tasty is apple chips. They're low in fat or no fat at all, depending on how they're produced, but they're like potato chips made from apples. Really, really nice. And you get them in green apple varieties, red apple varieties with cinnamon, sugar, whatever. And it's a nice little snack. And it's not all that bad. It's not terrible for you, in other words. There's worse things for you. You know, you can binge in a box of donuts, and that'll be worse for you than having some apple chips. Those are some examples right there. And those are examples that would taste good, too. So, you know, some food for thought, I suppose. But yeah, a little candy, some cake, some cookies, you know, every once in a while is not going to kill you, you know, and it's so minimal, it's not going to kill you if you do it every once in a while. Even if you did it like once a week, like on a Saturday or something, you decide to have a couple cookies or a slice of cake or something, you know, vegan, of course, you know, enjoy your life a little bit too. Unless you're contest prep and that's your job, enjoy your life a little bit too. So apparently this personal trainer said that animal protein is superior. Now I've done videos on the protein digestibility amino acid score, which is a rating system for protein. And I have shown that soy protein and soy protein isolate, so what you get from like soy products or isolate, for instance, actually compares with eggs, with red meat. It's actually better than red meat. It scores higher than red meat, but it's up there with eggs, milk, and whey. And that's soy right there. You know, so vegans have options like that, for instance. And then I've done another video on how you can take wheat gluten, for instance, which is a bit lower on the PDCAA scale, and you can just spike the meal with some leucine, and it will compete with eggs and milk and meat products. They showed that in a study, and I actually did a video about that. If you look back, I think it's called I think I called it something like how to make wheat gluten more anabolic or something like that. But watch that video. There's no reason why your vegan protein sources are any worse, really, than animal products, or why you can't make it work. You know, it comes down to, some people say that veganism is so hard, but like it comes down to how bad do you want it. You know, if you want to be vegan for ethical reasons, etc., you will find a way to make it work. It's not impossible. It's actually cheaper than being an omnivore. With maybe the exception if you're the kind of person who just buys dollar menu McDonald's items or something, but it's cheaper than being an omnivore. And there's ways you can make it even cheaper, like buying frozen fruits as opposed to fresh, which keep longer, by the way, buying frozen vegetables as opposed to fresh, etc., that sort of thing, buying in bulk. Whole Foods, for instance, they won't tell you this, but the truth of the matter is, if you go to the register and you have a case worth of food, in other words, if you buy 6 cartons of tofu, I think there's usually 6 to a case in Whole Foods. If you buy 6 cartons of tofu or 6 packs of Beyond Meat or whatever, they have to give you a 10% discount. You can bring it up to them if they don't. You tell them, I got a case discount, 10%. That's something you can do, buy in bulk even at Whole Foods, or buy at Costco or wherever. There's ways you can make veganism cheap. So consider that. Anyway, moving along. That personal trainer is a moron. I'm just going to put it out there. Okay. What's the best place in the world for vegans regarding travel? I hear Berlin is the #1 city for vegans in the world. Apparently, when it comes to vegan groceries, vegan restaurants, Berlin is the place to be. And this is from I think from a 2015 list or something. Happy Cow, I think was the website, I think it's called. New York City was like in the top of the list. San Francisco, I believe, was on the list. London was on the list, and London's awesome for vegans. Oh my God, there's so many options for vegans in London, especially really awesome vegan junk food. If you want to have a vacation, you want to enjoy yourself a little bit, there's some great restaurants like Mildred's in London. It has some awesome vegan options in their menu. There's a great bakery in Camden Markets. It's called, what the fuck is that called again? Goddamn, Cookies and Scream. That has really great vegan dairy and vegan baked goods. They're gluten-free too, by the way, if you have a gluten intolerance. And there's numerous other places around London too. Just use like an app or something to find them. But London's great for vegans too, and I travel there often. Those are some options right there that I remember being on that list. There's a fifth one too. I just can't remember what the fuck it was. It might have been another place in Germany. I just don't remember what it was anymore. I don't think Los Angeles made that list. You know, you'd think it'd be so progressive, but I don't think it made the list. I don't think Portland, Oregon made the list either. You know, and again, another progressive place. I say that sarcastically because there's too many SJWs in those places. But anyway, you all know how I feel about that. I'm going to get to the next question here. Let's see here. God, this thing moves so fast. Have I ever had Marmite? A long time ago, I tried Marmite. I also tried Vegemite a long time ago in Australia, and it was fucking awful. Look, now, if you are an Aussie or you're a Brit and that's your thing, man, to me, it tasted like it had a foot kind of flavor. It was really bad. It was just unpalatable. And I couldn't take it, even in small amounts. I just didn't like it. Let's see here. Hey, Cory, any advice for a plateau and a bench press? I've had long arms and struggle with much more progress. Yes, fits nicely. I have the same problem. I have long ass dangling arms that are just, they make my bench press the worst lift that I have. Whereas my deadlift is better, you know, but you know, everyone's got their better lift. But my advice with benching is try to even go up, you know, 5 pounds a week if you can. Have a spotter, definitely have a spotter present because you might hurt yourself. But even if, you know, you just go up 5 pounds, try to get like the same number of reps you got the previous week. Maybe you got for 5 reps the previous week. Try and work a little heavier too, like work in the 3 to 5 rep range. If your goal really is to boost your strength, at least on your main lift, try to work in the heavier range, like a 3 to 5 rep range. Maybe do some doubles, like some 2 rep sets or something like that. I wouldn't really advise a single unless you're going a little lighter, like you're doing your 95% of your 1 rep max for 1 rep, and see if you can get more. See how you go with that. But I really wouldn't advise doing 100% of your 1 rep max and trying to unless you have a spotter present, because you could fuck something up. But 3 to 5 rep range is a great way to build strength. Something that I talk about in my my new ebook that I released, which has a strength phase as well, is if you end a 5 by 3 to 5 progression, 5 sets of 3 to 5 reps with a single set of 20 reps, your 20 rep max, you actually experience greater strength gains going forward than if you didn't include that drop set. So you do 5 sets of 3 to 5 reps, rest 30. Between those sets, you'd rest 2 to 5 minutes, something like that, to get your recovery back. But between the final 3 to 5 rep set and your 20 rep set, you rest only 30 seconds, and then you just pump out, piston out that final 20 rep set. There has been research that shows that actually leads to a greater improvement long-term in strength and even muscle gain from just including that drop set. So maybe give that a try too. You know, but try those lower rep ranges and see if that works, and just practice. There is actually research that shows that there is more muscle gain, yes, from working at a higher frequency. In other words, training everything more than once a week. There is a bit more muscle in doing that, but there's actually significantly more strength gain from doing that. So maybe bench twice a week with at least 2 days in between your sessions. So maybe go like Monday bench press again on Wednesday. Hell, bench press again on Friday. You know, do it 3 times a week even, and try to work on getting those numbers up. Somebody's yelling my name, Cory, with exclamation marks. What's up, Darren? I think I remember you doing a video where you cite a study in which one of the subjects was immune to blood sugar spikes from apple juice due to a gene mutation. I don't remember that study. I don't remember that study. Oh, they're saying it might have been a Vegan Gains video. Yeah, I don't remember that study. Is there any specific tips you could suggest for a grappler in his late 40s that is feeling the pinch and struggling for recovery? Any recovery tips for performance tweaks in the diet? Sadly, that's just a thing of age. Now, I'm more of a striker than a grappler. Kyokushin karate, for instance, is really my primary striking art. And something that my senseis, and I'm talking about numerous senseis, have always said over time is that, unfortunately, as you get older, you're just not going to have the ability to recover like you could when you're in your 20s. A lot of guys end up retiring for that reason, or they only fight people who are around their age group. When it comes to professional fights in the street, you don't have any fucking choice. You got to fight whoever you have to fight to defend yourself. But yeah, I mean, the best thing I can suggest is sleep more. Continue to lift weights, because that helps keep your test levels higher. That help maintain them at the very least. It helps you keep your muscles supple as you age. In fact, they've shown that seniors who lift weights versus seniors who don't lift weights actually maintain, and even build muscle in their older years. And that's something to consider too. Think of your body as like a car, I suppose, like a really nice old classic car. You got to take care of it. You've got to maintain it. You might have to do more to take care of it than what you would have had to do when it was newer. But if you take care of it, it'll keep running, So keep taking care of your body, give it plenty of sleep, eat more calories if you have to. And if you find that it is a hormonal problem that you have no workaround for, it's literally just your genetics and your hormones are declining for one reason or another, there's TRT. And that can make you feel at least like you're in your 20s again. So you might want to explore that option too. But that is the drug route, and understand that if you go that route, you have to continue that for life, because your body will become dependent on the TRT. So that's something you have to think about. But if it's a matter of your happiness, quality of life, performance, etc., it's better to do that than let yourself fall into depression and fall apart. So something that just some food for thought. Have you thought about gradienting off a scripted video? Also thought about taking advantage of a right-wing market. Oh, Darren's asking this. I'm not sure what you mean by gradiating off of scripted videos. I mean, I do have outlines for my videos, and I do script some things because I have ADD, and if I don't, as you see in these fucking Q&As, I just ramble on and on and on. So I keep myself in check with scripts and outlines when I do my weekly videos. So I don't think I'm going to stop doing that just because I know myself too well. But when it comes to taking advantage of the right-wing market, I think I'm doing a decent job of that. Just unfortunately, we need more vegans that are of right-leaning political direction, because I feel like my channel could be a haven for them, that my channel would offer them a kindred spirit, so to speak, because I do have right-leaning political views. But I think it's going to require more right-wing people to stop thinking that veganism is only for leftists, which I'm trying to educate people on, and go that direction. But it's going to be a long process, because there's so many societal, I don't know the word right now. I'm still a little recovery from my cold. But like these societal influences or something that just keep people thinking that it's a liberal mentality when it's just apolitical. But I'm trying to be that shining light for people of the right-wing political spectrum to have a place to go for vegan knowledge, fitness knowledge, etc. And the combination of the two. How to break plateaus. I really could do a video, guest, on breaking plateaus. It's a good point, because this is the second person asking questions about breaking plateaus. But really, it's about focusing on that lift that you're trying to break through the plateau for, doing it more often if you have to, and doing a lot of accessory work to make you better at that lift. For instance, if you're having problems with pull-ups, practice pull-ups, but also maybe put in some pull-downs, maybe lose some weight, do hammer curls, work on your grip, deadlift, bent over row, to make your lats stronger and to make your grip stronger, make your whole posterior chain stronger in the case of deadlifts. All of these things can help make you better at doing pull-ups. That's just one example. With bench press, try bench pressing with bands. Try bench press, try floor presses, where you use a dumbbell or you lay in a rack and do a barbell off the floor. It's going to cut your range of motion, but it will help you work through sticking points. Those are some things you can do there. Work on incline bench press, work on flies. There are so many things you can do that will work on your triceps, really. I have a buddy who is incredible at bench pressing. He's got a fucking massive press. I keep telling the guy he should compete because his press is so incredible, but he doesn't want to compete. But hey, that's his thing. But his big tip is always, you know, work on your triceps. He swears that push downs and close grip benching has made his bench press better. Just some thought. He also claims that apparently the hammer strength machines made his free weight bench press better. Now, again, that's anecdote, but it's something to think about, you know, because he has a fucking incredible bench press. But again, he's got shorter arms. He might just be genetically gifted in that department. He's a very big guy, and he's natural too. And he's just a big guy naturally. Not really lean, but just very big. So that is a genetic thing as well. But work on it. Work on the accessories. That's my advice. Hench Herbivore says, "What's up? Love from the UK." Right back at you. You know, it's great to have you watching my channel and contributing too, and commenting and things like that. And, you know, having other vegan YouTubers jump in as well, and you know, it makes it feel like this is community, a real community. Let's see here. Yeah, Hench Herbivore is a legend, definitely. And by the way, I do have your tank top. I've got to do some. Hench Herbivore had I got one of his tank tops. I got to pose that tank top for him. I got so much shit on my mind, and I'm ADD, and I keep losing track of crap. And this goes back to why I script my freaking videos, and I do a lot of outlines where I don't script. Some things I just outline because it keeps me in check. Anyway, let's see here. Berlin is a vegan mecca. Awesome. I was there this summer. That's what I've heard. It's #1 for veganism on the world. It's apparently the best city to go if you want to have vegan options. Let's see here. Good, man. I was thinking of streaming with Joey Carbstrong, James Aspie. Do you mean James Aspie? That sounds familiar. Chris Hines and Banana Warrior Princess about activism. Want to tag along? Oh, he's talking to Hench Herbivore. Okay. Let's see. Somebody says Temple of Satan vegan fried chicken. And Cookies and Scream, yes. I don't know about Temple of Satan. I never tried that. But Cookies and Scream, Camden Marketplace, best vegan bakery in all of London that I've ever tried. Unless there's something I haven't tried, but that was incredible. There's another place, too. It's called, it's an ice cream parlor. It opened up in 2016. Eureka. I think it's called Eureka. I have to confirm that Tara's got her earphones on, so I can't ask her. I think it's called Eureka, and it's spelled with a Y. Eureka is, and it's in London, and it's a vegan ice cream joint. And they have like soft serve, they have scoop. It's really good. You can put your own. All the toppings are vegan, and you can. They put any number of toppings on you want. They have as many candy sprinkles as you want to put on it. It's really good, actually. A lot of great flavors there too. Another good place in London to check out. I just can't remember what stop I got off at with that. Tara, what stop is Eureka off at? Oh, Covent Garden, I think. Okay, anyway. Somebody says Tel Aviv is great for vegans. I don't know. I've never been. I have heard that there's a growing vegan community in Tel Aviv, but I've not heard that. I would imagine India's got some places that would be good for vegans too, especially because there are some Indians that are vegans. So in India, they make places that would be particularly good for vegans too. Anyway, I've heard that Norwich is the vegan capital of the UK. I don't know. I've never been to Norwich. I've been to a number of places in the UK. I spend a lot of time in London. There are some places I can tell you right now that I probably have never even heard of a vegan. I was considering traveling to the Lake District at one point, and I was going to be hard-pressed to find anything fucking vegan in the Lake District. I'd have to do all my own shopping and all my own cooking to make that work. Santorini was surprisingly hard as a vegan. If I didn't bring my own protein powder in advance because I asked some Greek friends about that, I would have been fucking screwed because there weren't a lot of vegan options. So what I did in Santorini to make that work is I ate a lot of like seed bars and stuff that are put together with like not with honey, but put together with something like a maple syrup or something. I also had a lot of fruit, a fuckload of fruit. I ate a lot of fava beans there, and I just drank protein shakes. But you know, it was for 10 days, so I had to do what I had to do to maintain my protein intake while I was there enjoying Santorini. Don't regret it. Beautiful place. Anyway, let's see here. Too many SJWs in that area. Yeah, there's a lot of SJWs in places like San Francisco and Portland, Oregon, and fuck, New York has got a lot of SJWs too. Shit. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm a Brit and everyone in my family hates Marmite. I'm the only one in the family that likes Marmite. Yeah, it's an acquired taste. I just thought maybe because it's more of a British culture thing, and Vegemite, for instance, is an Australian cultural thing that more people there are kind of used to it from childhood. I don't know. Like I told you, I tried both at one point in time, and it was wretched. It was fucking wretched. It was the worst thing. And I'm not exaggerating. It was that bad, in my opinion. Vegemite and Marmite. It was pretty. It was. I would say it's about as bad. It's similar in badness to a potato protein isolate powder, which is horrible. It's probably why it didn't last very long in the market. Let's see here. Why didn't you mention that the Golden One and his fans still endorse local animal farming, or did I miss it in your video? Yeah, I did. I covered that topic in the Varg video series, so I didn't feel like rehashing that. I wanted to focus more on the concept of meat eating and testosterone, and vegans and testosterone, and vegans and performance, and even our ancestors and veganism. Which is leading me to potentially doing a philosophical video in the future regarding ancestry and veganism. But yeah, that's why I didn't really jump into that too much. Now, there's nothing wrong with supporting local plant farming, for instance. I mean, even here in New York, believe it or not, you know, we can get probably from upstate, but there are some Brooklyn farms too, by the way. These city farms that have begun to spring up in these little, they pick these little lots and they turn it into a farm and fence it off in the city. I've driven past some on one. I think one was on Park Avenue, up in the Upper East Side on Park Avenue. But there's a number of them around the city, and there's also, of course, bringing in from New York State. But you can bring in local fruits and veggies and support your local farmers that way. But see, New York, the United States is sort of an interesting thing because of how big we are and how many different climates we have, that I don't see a problem with supporting Florida's agriculture, even though I'm a New Yorker, or supporting New Hampshire's agriculture, even though I'm a New Yorker, because we're all the same country. We're just different states. I don't see the problem with supporting that, but that's just my opinion, because it's all part of the USA. It's all part of the same country. So we're supporting the nation, really. That's the way I look at it. So that's one of the benefits of the United States, is that we have access to things like, you know, constantly blooming, growing bananas, or constantly, you know, constant apple production in certain places, or maple syrup production in certain places. And, you know, depending on where you go and where you import it in from here in the States, which state you pull it in from. So yeah, but yeah, you can support your local European farmers that are producing plant products as well. But I talked about that in my Varg video. Somebody says, thanks for answering all these questions. You're very welcome. I have a lot of fun doing these Q&As. What's your opinion on weighted dips versus the bench press? I would say do both. Some people can't dip because of their shoulders. And it can result from just bad form, but it could also just simply be that your body, for whatever reason, it maybe something that's happened to you, or just a weakness in your body. You can't do dips for some reason. There are some people like that, or they have an older injury or a genetic flaw or something that doesn't allow them to dip. You know, and maybe in those, you know, nothing is really required. You can build muscle without either of those exercises. But they're both good exercises, especially for triceps and chest development. Triceps and chest more so for the dips, more so chest for the bench press. And the reason I say that is because, at least based on EMG research, the bench is not the best movement for the triceps. There is triceps involvement, but it's not that great for the triceps. Close grip bench is actually one of the worst exercises for the triceps, according to EMG data. Whereas the dips are up there as one of the best. Decline extensions are a great one too, and V-bar and rope pushdowns are another really good triceps exercise. But dips are a great one for a compound chest and triceps and front deltoid. Let's see here. Yeah, fucking aging. Eventually, you're just going to find yourself fighting the clock. But, you know, there's things you can do to make that easier. And just try to work on your stress, too. That can help you with sleep also. And, you know, life comes at you. It causes stress. But you got to work on it if you want to stay healthy. Let's see here. Do low-carb people ignore low-carb plus plant-based and seem to focus only on low-carb plus butter? Or why do? Somebody asked that. I think it's just, again, it's like the norm. When people think of keto, they think of red meat, eggs, and butter or oil. They're not thinking broader term here. They're not thinking that a keto diet is higher fat, moderate protein, low carb, and hey, I can do that with plant foods. They're not thinking that. They're thinking the Atkins, or that you know, just that real sort of, I guess, the normal way. My mind is still not working from this cold. they're still caught in that trap of very narrow thinking. So I think that's the reason why. And there seems to be some prevailing notion that butter is healthy for you. So, oh my God, there's so many bad nutritional ideas that are out there and perpetuated, that it just makes my head swim, you know. Anyway, what do I think of cold showers? I've been asked this so many times. Apparently the golden one mentioned taking cold showers for testosterone. I need to research this because I've not heard about that. I mean, I sometimes take a cold shower if I'm really fucking hot. Like if it's a bad, hot, muggy, humid day and I've come in and I can't break the sweat, I will go in and lower my body temperature with a cold shower and then come step out in my air conditioning and feel better. Because I just naturally feel better in cooler environments myself. But I don't know about testosterone. I'd have to read and the research on that to see if there's actually anything to that. So I can't comment. Just make peanut butter. You just need peanuts in a blender. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's pretty true. Throw some salt in there if you want a little salt. Should we supplement with K2? You can get K2 from K1 conversion. It's not significantly there's no significant disadvantage to using K1 as you find in vegan foods. You can also eat natto, which is fermented soybeans, and that is actually a very high source of K2, vegan too, by the way. But if you don't think you're getting enough, yeah, supplement K2. You know, it can't hurt. Just a little. You don't need to don't overdose on K2, but supplement with K2 if you don't think you're getting enough. Veganism stands above politics. Yeah, veganism isn't political. It's not politically motivated. It's apolitical. And so people who think that you can only be a vegan if you're leftist, or God, these fucking social justice warriors who think you can't be vegan because you have right-wing or nationalistic views, it's just fucking retarded. It has nothing to do with any of that. You know, and all it does is it seeks to hurt veganism from people who might be genuinely interested in giving it a go and becoming a vegan, but they're afraid of these social stigmas that might come along with it. Now, see, in my case, I don't give a fuck. You know, I'll be a vegan because I want to be a vegan. You know, I don't really give a shit if that's going to piss my family or friends off. If they are pissed off by it, they're not really my friends. You know, for instance, my friends. You know, family, I can't really do anything about that because they're my family. But with friends, like if they're pissed off because I don't eat animal products, then they need to work out their own problems. Yeah, it's not political. And to bring the intersectionality into veganism, I think does veganism more harm than good. And it forces politics onto it, which is retarded. Anyway, do you think that plateaus can be caused by healing? That's an interesting question. I don't know the answer entirely to that, but interesting anecdote on that. There are people, myself included, who have found that when there is a sudden layoff from lifting weights, I don't know, be it because you've had an injury, maybe you feel a tweak or something, so you take some time away from the weights for like a week or two, a vacation, family emergency, something where an unexpected layoff occurs and you're away from the gym for like between a week to 2 weeks. I have found personally that when I come back, without fail, I'm stronger than when I was there before, despite not touching a weight for like 2 weeks. I'm stronger than what I was when I had last lifted in the gym. I found that to be the case. And I've seen others that have had the same anecdote experience with taking a small layoff, whether forced or just, by choice, and coming back even stronger. So maybe there is a healing aspect to it. Maybe your body just needs more time to recover. And, power lifters take a break. I think every 6 to 8 weeks, they either deload or take a week off, and there is some merit to that. I even prescribe in my ebook that you guys can find linked below, the Beast Mode by Science. I prescribe a layoff period before you start the program, and even when you finish the program, I prescribe a very short layoff period, and I explain why in the book in good detail. But there might be a healing component really to why people are plateauing, and perhaps small layoff might actually help you with that. Just a week, give it a week, maybe see what happens if you don't bench for a week and come right back. Do something else instead, some other kind of chest exercise. Just don't bench for a week, or take a week off altogether and come back to it. Hey, Cory, did you see the recent news piece about meat lovers being more right-leaning? It got any tips for vegans and vegetarians to help change their image? I think it's just about setting an example. I can't tell you how many times in the comments I get people who come and say like, holy shit, a vegan who's right-wing and nationalistic, I've seen everything. Or, oh my God, you're a shining light for veganism. I didn't know that right-wing vegans existed. I think it's a matter of just setting an example, really. Sometimes just setting a good example is better than any kind of, some of the best activism you can do, because you're embodying it. You don't have to go out and protest it in people's faces. You don't have to get in people's faces about something and just annoy them with it. You can just live it and show it. And that actually happened with my mother one Thanksgiving. She was asking me, she was like, you look so healthy and so strong as a vegan. And she actually began to remove some animal products from her diet, actually, just because I literally just lived it. I didn't say anything to her. I didn't start an argument. I just, right in front of my folks and my brother, just lived as a vegan, as I always do, and went to the gym and ate my vegan food, was very happy with it, let them taste some of it. And, sometimes that impression is the best form of activism, because you're not forcing anything down anyone's throat. You're just proving a point by living, doing what you do. Is gum vegan? Yeah, I mean, some gums might not be, but there's plenty of gums that are. I think the Spree, S-P-R-Y brand, which does these stevia-based gums, I believe they're vegan. I don't know about bubble gum and things like that. A lot of those have like really shitty ingredients I don't want to touch. They just, so, there may not be any harm to eating artificial crap, like artificial colors and stuff, but I'm not going to make a habit of doing it. Just, I mean, why? I can make the choice not to, why put something artificial in my body if I don't have to? But yeah, there's plenty of gum brands that are vegan. Barbell row versus lat pull down, which is better for lats? Barbell row, okay. Now pull downs are fine, and chin ups are fine, and pull ups are great, and all those are great, and you should work on those. But they're more of a lat move. Like they're going to hit your lats more than your lower and middle traps, your inner back, your middle back, as they call it. When you do bent over rows, you hit all of that. You hit your lats, you hit your lower and middle traps, and you just develop a wider and a thicker back all together with rows. I say do both. I tend to use a heavy compound like a deadlift or a barbell row, or both actually, and finish with some light work. For instance, I might do like seated cable rows using a rope attachment, because you can squeeze the lats and the inner back a little bit more with the rope, because you can pull it back further. There's more range of motion. And I might also do some pull downs, or some chin ups or something, with my body weight or with a little added weight if I want to go heavier. But I make the core back movement something that hits all of it. So like I'll do something like a deadlift or a bent over barbell row. I really like bent over underhand barbell rows, and I specifically like to use an easy bar for those. It burns the lats so much more. And an EMG show that it has more lat activation, but I actually feel more lat activation as well. So yeah, rows are great, much more than pull downs in my opinion. What do you think was the worst fitness YouTuber? I admit I used to watch Mike Chang and take his advice. Mike Chang is pretty fucking bad. I don't know. There's a lot of bad fitness YouTubers out there where they give advice that may work for them, and may work for them because they're on steroids. Callum von Moger does. Those marathon type workouts he goes through with excessive volume are just unrealistic for somebody who's natural to really keep up with. And the frequency isn't great either, for a natural lifter. So you really got to look at it like, what's the person's, what do they do? Are they a drug user? Or if you're not a drug user and you're taking the advice of a drug user, you're unless they're specifically giving advice that things that worked when they weren't on drugs, and they're being genuine about it. Taking the advice of somebody who's an avid steroid user and trying to apply it to your life if you're not a steroid user is pointless. So there's a lot of bad fitness YouTubers, but they're popular because they have, they put up great production. People like the way they look, so they think that is a sign of authority. Those are some examples right there. I mean, Kino Body is a good example of this. Now, I don't know if Kino Body's natural or not. I mean, his size, I am actually bigger. He's given some of his measurements. I'm bigger than Greg O'Gallagher is, and I am a natural. So you could obtain Kino Body's size easily in about 5-6 years of training, proper training. Probably even less than that for some folks. Depends on your genetics. Without using any drugs. It's not like that's, and his leg development's horrid. I'm just going to say it like it is. I don't think he does enough leg work. But that being said, a lot of his advice is just like, hey, it seems like, hey, this works for me kind of shit, which is all good and fine for you, buddy, but that might not be the case for everybody. So that's why I try to build programs that are based on the research, so larger body of research, or this larger body of people that are getting benefit from it, as opposed to this one dude who happens to excel at something, excel in a certain area and thinks it's going to work for everybody. But yeah, things like that are a little annoying. And so there are a lot of guys out there that they put up these flashy videos of a flashy lifestyle, perhaps a beautiful, flashy girlfriend, model girlfriend. Maybe they're a trust fund kid. They have big supplement contracts. Great video production quality, like something you'd see on TV. And these guys attract a lot of viewers because of how they look and what they have, and people believe them. They think that they're an authority because they have all these things, but that's not always the case. I mean, take a look at Brad Schoenfeld, for instance, and Brett Contreras. They are the foremost, in my opinion, leaders of the physical, exercise science. Eric Helms is one of them too. Out there, these guys, they do a lot of the research that is breakthrough for weightlifting, and but these guys aren't really that impressive looking when you compare them to some of these fitness YouTubers and fitness models and whatnot. But that's irrelevant. Their content, their material is so profound, and it works. They're decorated. And you know, I'm not trying to appeal to authority with this, because they put out research with large scale participants, and they try to like eliminate bias, and they have these great findings that come out of it. Alan Aragon's a great example from the nutrition field. You know, but these guys don't have the body. They don't have a Porsche body when you compare them to like someone like Steve Cook, for instance. You know, and they don't have quite the following either. But they're far more relevant when it comes to an intellectual standpoint, a scientific standpoint of the fitness and nutrition realm. Moving on, I don't keep rambling about that. Okay, I saw something about Jason Blaha here. Anyway, I don't know where the hell that question went. Do you know if cutting weight is better to do over the course of 3 months rather than 6 months in an effort to preserve muscle mass? Yeah, take it slower. I would say take it slower. You know, the slower option is going to be the better option for preserving muscle, because you don't want to, otherwise you're probably putting yourself in too deep of a deficit. And that's not going to do you any favors when it comes to preserving muscle tissue. With the only exceptions if you eat excessively high protein in deep deficit. There was a study that showed that people who were in a 40% calorie deficit but ate an absurd amount of protein, we're talking about like something like 2.5 grams per kilogram or something like that of protein per day, something really high. These people actually built muscle in that low of a deficit. They actually put on like 2.5 pounds of muscle in 6 weeks' time. And these were, if I recall properly, these were trained athletes. These were not, you know, new lifters. They put that muscle on in that amount of time, despite being in a deep deficit. And if I recall, they controlled for supplementation and even steroid use. It was actually, they didn't even take creatine, for fuck's sakes. They weren't allowed to take creatine even. And they still put on some muscle mass. So it really, if you're going to deep diet, one of the best things you can do is increase your protein. But that's going to come at the cost of your carbohydrates and your fat intake. So you really, you know, it's worth it, is the question. Apparently those people were miserable throughout those 6 weeks. They were miserable. So it worked, but they were miserable as fuck. You'd be much better off doing a modest deficit, like 20% deficit below maintenance, and enjoying, you know, some more calories, and not feeling fucking like trash for 3 to 6 months or whatever you're going to cut for, because that will wear on you psychologically, and it's very few people on this planet, myself included, who have the ability to really like suffer for that long without having to have a break. You know, it's not easy. And I mean, there are some people out there that are robotic like that, but I'm not even one of them, who can do that, but not most people can't. So you got to think, what can the average person do and make it sustainable? Because sustainable is what's going to help you reach your goals. Anyway, is there any actual science behind the notion that cardio at some point can cause muscle loss? It can hinder muscle growth. If you are doing cardio concurrent with strength training, in other words, you lift weights and you do cardio, or you do cardio and you lift weights, both are going to suffer. Your cardiovascular efforts and your weight training results will suffer. This is why it's best to do your cardio at a different time of day or a different day altogether. So if you train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do your cardio Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, maybe even Sunday or something like that. Or if time won't allow for it and you need to do it on the same day, maybe you train more often in the week, then maybe you do cardio in the morning, weight training in the evening, or the other way around. Keep them separate. But I would advise you do weight training in the evening, late afternoon, early evening time frame, only because research has shown people are stronger and have better hormone levels around that time of day, that are preferable to the results from weight training. That is something that I've seen in at least 2 or 3 papers now, that there were slightly better results, but still significant, comparing those training times. So maybe do your cardio in the morning and your weight training in the evening, or do them on separate days altogether. And that's the way that I would recommend doing it. Yeah, anyway, let's see here. Do you think going from 185 to 170 over the course of 3 months would be superior for muscle preservation compared to 6 months? I feel being in a deficit this long has fucked up my strength. I mean, over the course of 3 months, I think the longer period is going to be better, and you don't have to be in quite the deficit and experience quite the fuck up in strength. You know, there's no reason why a deficit should cause you to be losing strength. You know, if you're eating enough protein and you're not in that deep of a deficit, you know. So don't starve yourself. You know, if you got to lower your calories, but don't starve yourself. There's no reason to starve yourself. Let's see here. The non-consumption of animal products is considered quite right-wing in some Eastern countries. Yeah, it's you know, like India, for instance, is got like views on not eating animal products as being kind of like upper tier. So yeah, there are places like that, but it's really societal. You know, if people would get off this notion that vegans are all leftists, you know, you'd find more right-wing people probably more receptive to the concept of veganism, without those social, you know, the social attacks happening on them. Let's see here. Hey, Cory, I love your message. I've never seen you live before. Well, thanks for joining. You know, every other Sunday I'm gonna try to do this. So the next Q&A will likely be at noon on the 15th, every other Sunday, because it seems to be working out. Except last Sunday I was meant to do it, but I got sick. Would you cleanse all the normies in the vegan community? Would I cleanse them? I hope you don't mean kill, because that's not my thing. Educate is different. Live by example. Use facts instead of screeching like these SJWs do. The screeching is so annoying. I hate SJWs so much. God, I don't like them. They want to call right-wingers fascist, yet they act like fucking fascists. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I don't want to get political here. I'm gonna make a stop to this soon, because we're coming up to the hour point now, and my computer's telling me it's gonna die out, and I can't reach my extension over here, and I got things I gotta do anyway. But so I'm gonna answer the question. Let's see here. Let me find something here. That's a question. Yeah, somebody says I've been leading to do excessive cardio to compensate for cheat days. So excessive calorie restricting paired with excessive cardio once a week, definitely over time fucking me over. Yeah, I mean, don't have cheat days. You know, have a cheat meal once a week or every 2 weeks once, depending on how lean you are. If you're really lean, you might get away with it twice a week, but a meal, seriously, a meal, and try to make it a little more healthful if you can, like a veggie burger and some fries or something, and maybe a side slice of cake, versus sitting down with like dozens of cookies or donuts and candy and everything else, or you know, pizza and things like that. Try to keep it as healthful as possible, but depending on how lean you are. If you're quite fat and you're trying to lean out, don't do the cheat meals for a while. You know, maybe save those when you're lean, a little bit more lean, or you're closer to your target, or you just really need a psychological break and you do one cheat meal. That's the best way I can recommend that. Otherwise, yeah, you will fuck yourself up if you're downing. If you're like me, for instance, and I have a huge appetite. If I cheat, I could easily do like I could eat 5,000-6,000 calories in a matter of hours, and like nothing. I can bulldoze through that shit. So you gotta be true to yourself and understand how you react as well. You know, because sometimes a cheat meal can be a gateway to some people who have excessive appetites like I do. So you might have to keep that in mind also. Anyway, I'm going to cut it off here, guys. Sorry. I got a lot I got to take care of. It's been over an hour. I will see you guys in not the next Sunday, but the Sunday after. So the 15th, I believe is what I said. And we'll do another Q&A then. But thank you all for tuning in. And do check out the description below if you're interested in any of my products and services that I have. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you like my Facebook page, if you hit me up on Facebook, you'll get updates about my videos as well as Q&A timing and everything else, so you don't forget. You'll get updates that way about me as well. So I'll see you all. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys later. Take care.